Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to another part 0 of our One More Marathon series. These part 0s are to sort of familiarize yourselves with what the Civ is capable of and sort of my philosophies on how I like to play them. So welcome into that. Today we are talking about Dido, Phoenician Empire. Dido is an incredibly powerful Civ. There's a lot of words on these cards that do a lot, frankly, and so it's kind of, she's got a very unique play path that'll sort of, you'll start to spot as we go through these. But let's just start at the top, and then we'll talk about overarching strategy afterwards. So we begin with Founder of Carthage. We get the ability to move our capital to any city with a Kothon, which is our unique harbor. You can read ahead, spoilers. Any city with a Kothon founded that we founded, of course, which is, I don't know why it says that. Sometimes these are a little wordy. Anyways, we can move our capital to any city with a Kothon as long as we founded it, and we can then run a special project and move our capital. You might ask yourself, why the heck do you want to move your capital? Part of it is there is a small ability here that you'll see later in that any city on our capital's continent is 100% loyal. That's not really why you want to move your capital. Generally speaking, why you want to move your capital is to take advantage of multi-continent policy cards and wonders. There are several of them in the game. Well, certainly if you watch our playthrough, you'll see me target some of them and even get some of them. But you can get some massive gains out of moving your capital and then having all of your other cities on other continents. It's a pretty narrow use case regardless, and it's a really expensive project. So it's something that you want to plan for and plan around. But if you choose to do that, and if the map works out where that makes sense, this can be an incredibly powerful ability. Don't just move your capital. It's silly to do that. But if you can find the purpose in doing it, it's incredibly good. In addition to that, we get an extra trade route capacity for each government plaza building and the government plaza itself. That's really good. That's 4 extra trade routes by the end of the game, and 2 pretty darn early, actually. And trade route capacity is incredibly useful, especially with naval maps. When you're focused in on harbors and trade and things like that, just getting a few extra early on trade route capacities is so good. It is so good. Used to be easier to get trade routes. It's not anymore. And I think trade routes are in a good spot. But anytime you can get extra trade routes, whether it's great people or abilities or wonders, you should probably find your way to doing it because they're really good. And then in addition to that, we get 50% extra production towards districts in the city with the government plaza. So already you're starting to see, okay, we want an early government plaza, right? It's kind of a big deal. And then we want, beyond that, you want to go for the Ancestral Hall, which will give us 50% extra production towards settlers. That's going to double up once we get to our Kothon. Luce, thank you so much for the 42 months, my friend. I appreciate you. Then we have Mediterranean colonies. Begin the game with the writing technology. Doesn't really matter. That's really more for flavor. Every once in a blue moon, you don't find somebody to get that writing eureka, but it's really not. It's more for flavor than it is for usefulness. So moving on, coastal cities founded by Phoenicia, located in the same continent as the Phoenician capital, are 100% loyal. We were talking about that earlier, so that's why you want to move. So the loyalty thing, like, yeah, there is some benefit there. You have to be on the same continent as your cap, and you can get away with some aggressive forward settles and silly things like that. But mostly we want to move our capital to somewhere for continent split stuff. Then, now we start to get interesting. You ready? Because that was a lot already, right? Settlers get 2 extra movement and 2 sight range when embarked. Settlers ignore movement costs from embarking and disembarking. It's really powerful already. Now, geared specifically towards naval maps, because we're gonna want our Kothon, our government plaza, and a bunch of harbor type cities. So you don't really want to play Phoenicia on like a Pangaea or something, but we decided to actually go for small continents, wherever that is. I'm not going to find it right now. We're on small continents in ours, but any of the archipelagos, any of the island plates, any like that will be really good. And part of it's because we can really accelerate our movement and our city settles once we've built some things preliminarily. So really powerful, can really help us spam the map with just all the Phoenician cities, which is definitely a good thing to do with her. Then we have the Kothon, which is a replacement for our harbor, cheaper to build as all unique districts are. 50% extra production towards naval units and settlers. Say that again. 50% extra production towards naval units, all naval units, and settlers in a city with a Kothon. That is really powerful. Oh, by the way, we're just going to pepper on top of that. All wounded naval units in this city heal for 100% each turn. So you can be incredibly defensive. You can use your early Byreme, which we're about to talk about, to great success against barbarians or an invading Norway, for example. But pair this 50% production towards settlers, 50% production towards settlers with Ancestral Hall and the policy card, and we have 150% production towards settlers. Add Magnus in there and start chopping. You can spam the whole world with Phoenician cities. It's really, really good. It's really, really powerful. It creates an interesting play path on Deity, which I want to note. This gets a little harder to do on Deity and on smaller maps because the AI tends to grab a bunch of land and a bunch of cities of their own. And you can definitely, if you're not prioritizing things properly and in a good, timely amount of a timely manner, you can run out of your ability to even have city locations. So do this early and do this often so that you don't miss out on all of the map space, because Deity is kind of cheap. Byreme is a unique ancient era unit that replaces the galley, increased combat strength and movement. Trader units are immune to being plundered if they are within 4 tiles of a Byreme on a water tile. This is early era score. This is some early defense, especially if we are playing coastal or some sort of naval map, which you should be with her. It's just nice to have. This is nice to have. It's not the most powerful thing in the world. The extra escort on your trade routes is like kind of more cute than it is useful. But it's nice to have this, and it pairs well with the rest of our kit. So I know that's a lot. That's a lot of me talking. That's a lot of words on this, but Dido is a very powerful civ that can do a lot of things that you might not recognize at first glance. So really cool civ. Have fun with Dido. We certainly do in our game, and thanks for watching.